One of the things I find kind of unsatisfying are explanations of phenomenon which describe them as just products of brain functioning. What do I mean by that? I mean, the obvious examples are things like religiosity. You know, that some supernatural being is actually just the firing of some random neurons in some theological area of the brain, if such a thing exists. But I think there are other kinds of phenomena that are also explained in those kinds of terms as well. And sometimes, all phenomena are explained in those ways. Certainly, my experience of the phenomena around me, the greenness of the leaves on this tree, the hardness of the ground under my feet, the coolness of the wind blowing across my skin, those phenomenal properties are usually explained in terms of brain functioning, as if brain functioning is a kind of explanation, which I suppose it is in one way. It's a particular kind of explanation. And what it reminds me of is that saying that Ken Wilber quotes. I'm not a big fan of Ken Wilber, but I think this is quite an interesting thing he says. He's talking about Descartes, actually, but he's citing this. I think it's a Vedanta kind of aphorism, which is in three parts. It says the world is an illusion. Only Brahman is real. Brahman is the world. So you have this sense that, although it appears paradoxical, maybe it is paradoxical, there's a kind of circular logic to it, which by the fact you can't resolve it, demonstrates that there's a kind of sense to it which acknowledges the limits of our ability to categorize and to determine reality in certain different ways. The world is an illusion, only Brahman is real, Brahman is the world. And I think there's something quite similar in terms of phenomenology, brain experience. Because of course the only thing we know about our brains is our phenomenal experience of our brains, or our phenomenal experience of the readings of the instruments that we use to examine our brains. The brightly lit parts on fMRI scans, or the wavy lines on an EEG machine. These are all kind of phenomenal experiences. So it seems to me that by kind of, I don't want to use the word reducing, but by kind of locating phenomenal experience in the brain, as if that's some kind of an answer or some kind of a solution, even when it includes things which are probably illusory, like gods and spirits and demons and ghosts and so on, by saying, it's just random firings of neurons, or it's all in your mind, it's all in your brain. I don't think that is a resolve, really, because you're forced at some point to acknowledge that any experience you have of your own brain, no matter how mediated, no matter how interpersonally validated, is itself a phenomenal experience. So it kind of replays that loop out, where the world is an illusion, only the brain is real, the brain is the world. It's not quite right. Perhaps the reverse is true. The world is an illusion. Oh God, I can't get the logic of this one at all. I'm trying to get to the idea that the brain is an illusion. Maybe the brain is an illusion, only the world is real, the world is the brain. I'm not sure that's where I started off trying to get to, but there's some kind of loop in there, I think, which it makes sense to me.